Welcome back to Red Seat Secrets. Today's hearing was tense and unforgettable. Senator Josh Hawley went head-to-head with a judicial nominee who dodged questions about Israel and moral responsibility. What unfolded left everyone speechless, so let's break down every moment. The hearing began calmly enough. Senator Hawley congratulated the nominees, then focused on Mr. Mangi. Hawley read a statement from a center linked to Mangi, calling Israel a violent colonial state and praising the Palestinian struggle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations to the nominees. Thanks for being here. Mr. Mangi, if I could just start with you, I just want to make sure I understood your answers to my colleagues, including Senator Cruz. Let me just read you something. I just want to know if you agree with this or not. This should be simple. Here's a statement. The demand to center Israel's right to self-defense, that's in scare quotes, self-defense, erases the colonial context and delegitimizes the Palestinian right to resistance. We are in awe of the Palestinian struggle to resist violent occupation, removal, erasure, and the expansion of Israeli settler colonialism. Do you agree with that, yes or no? I realize you didn't write it, and you may not know who the author is, may never have heard of these people before. I just want to know, does this represent your view, yes or no?
Senator, any attempt to justify what happened on October 7th, I have absolutely no...
Well, that's not the context here. This is talking about any discussion of Israel's right to self-defense erases the colonial context. It's calling Israel a colonial state. So could we just answer my question? Do you agree with this, yes or no?
Senator, I don't claim to be an expert on the Middle East. I don't have the historic or regional expertise.
Sounds like a maybe. That's a maybe? Maybe you agree? Can
No.
we get a yes or a no?
Each say this is a policy question or a question for foreign experts.
That's what I don't understand. By the way, this was written by the director of the center you sat on the board of, that you advised. This is the director, not some random professor, the director, who published it in an open letter. So when you say it's a policy, what's the policy about calling Israel a violent settler colonialist state? Why is that a policy question?
Senator, that is...
Hawley asked, "Do you agree?" But Mangi didn't give a straight answer. The clash had begun. Instead of answering, the nominee called it a policy question. He claimed he wasn't an expert on the Middle East or had the background to judge, but Hawley pressed, "This isn't a policy question, it's a moral one. Does Israel have a right to exist? Should Jewish Americans feel safe?" Still, the nominee dodged every chance to take a stand.
Not a statement that I had any involvement with.
Okay, good. So would you condemn it then? You say this does not represent your views.
Senator, I have no basis as a judicial nominee to cast views on the Middle East or what does or does not happen there.
You're not answering my question. I'm asking you whether this individual who said that Israel was a violent settler colonial state, I'm just trying to get you to say, do you agree with that or not? And I've asked you now 4 different times, 4 different ways. You're not answering me. Why is that? Why can't you just say, no, I don't agree with this? Let's try again.
Yeah.
Do you agree with this statement, yes or no?
Senator, in order to agree or disagree with any statement, I need to have a sufficient factual background to assess it.
So in other words, you can't say whether or not Israel is a violent colonial state. You think that's a difficult question?
Oh, God. That is not an issue with which I have any expertise.
Is the Holocaust also a difficult question? Does that need context?
No.
Is that a policy question?
I am quite happy to address the Holocaust, Senator.
Why aren't you happy to address this then? Why is it that an individual in the center that you directed who calls Israel a violent colonialist state, those are racist comments, why can't you condemn that? I don't understand it. You won't answer my questions, you won't answer Senator Cruz's questions, you wouldn't answer Senator Kennedy's questions. I don't understand why this is complicated.
Senator, I'm Pakistani. I didn't grow up in the Middle East.
I didn't either. I didn't either, but that doesn't mean that I can't say that somebody who says that a Jewish state is a violent colonialist enterprise is wrong. This isn't a policy question, it's a moral question. This is a moral issue.
Senator, I am not in a position to make...
Want leaders who speak the truth? Subscribe and join Red Seat Secrets. As the exchange grew more intense, Hawley drew a sharp line between politics and morality. He said, "This isn't about Middle East policy. This is about right and wrong. Refusing to condemn anti-Semitic rhetoric isn't neutrality, it's moral failure." That was the turning point. Hawley turned up the heat. If the nominee sat on the board of a center whose director spread hateful statements, what did he do? Had he condemned it? Warned others? The answer, no.
Any policy pronouncements about actions in the Middle East?
Does Israel have a right to exist?
Yes.
Should American Jews be safe in their homes and on their campuses?
Senator, there is
Just
no
yes
one.
or no, please. Spare me the lectures. Yes or no? Did you advise against this letter? You sat on the advisory board. Did you advise against it?
I never even heard of that letter.
How is that possible? What did you do on this board for all these years? This was years before you left it.
It's an advisory board that met once a year to talk about academic research.
Do you not think it's relevant to the setting in the academy that Jewish students might feel unsafe when they have a tenured professor who's the director of a center saying that Israel is a violent colonial state? Do you think that may not have an effect on the educational environment?
Senator, I abhor.
But you didn't care to look into it?
May I respond?
But I've heard your answers, and they're all move over here, look over here. You're not answering any of my questions. And I can't figure out why. I can't figure out why you won't just say that this was wrong. So you didn't advise against it. You didn't condemn it. You didn't look into the center's activities. Do you regret that? Do you regret not at the time taking a moral stand against?
The nominee said he never heard of the letter. Hawley told him, "You had a moral obligation to know." When Jewish students are targeted on campuses, silence isn't neutrality, it's complicity. This was Hawley at his sharpest, exposing not just inaction but indifference. As time ran out, the nominee gave a careful answer about wanting his children, and Jewish families' children, to feel safe on campus. But Hawley's closing line hit harder than any policy statement.
These frankly racist condemnations of Jewish Americans, Jewish people in the state of Israel. Do you think it was wrong for you to be silent?
Senator, I didn't know anything about it.
Why didn't you? Didn't you have a moral obligation to know about a center that you sat on the board of for years, whose director was calling Jewish people colonialist, violent settlers? Do you not have a moral obligation to know and say something?
That is not the function of an academic advisory board, but I abhor.
But it is the function of a responsible jurist and a responsible citizen. And I would just suggest to you that you failed it. And your inability to just say, this was wrong, this shouldn't have been said, this kind of language and rhetoric is what has led directly to Jewish American students now being called out on campuses, in classrooms, told to stand up and go and stand in a corner because they need to feel what it's like to be colonized. I'm sure you've seen the reports of this happening across the country. This is happening now.
Senator, your time's expired. Mr. Manji, would you like to complete an answer?
Thank you, Chair Durbin. Any acts of anti-Semitism or any bigotry, including anti-Muslim bigotry, on college campuses is abhorrent. My children will be going to university soon. I want them to feel safe, and I want the children of my Jewish friends and colleagues to feel safe too.
Well, you think you'll take a greater interest when your children are on campus, maybe, than you did for the last 3 years?
When moral issues arise, do we speak up or stay silent? Senator Hawley challenged not just a nominee, but the silence around moral truth. Leadership means standing firm when right and wrong are on the line.